Dr. Amanda Price stared at the computer screen in her small lab aboard the HMS Newton. The research ship floated quietly in space near Jupiter, far from the noise of Earth. Amanda worked as a language expert, someone who studied how different people talked and wrote. But today, she was looking at something no human had ever seen before. The message had come from deep space 3 hours ago. At first, the ship's computers thought it was just random noise from a distant star. But Amanda knew better. The patterns were too perfect, too organized. This was not noise, this was language. Computer, play the message again, Amanda said softly. Strange sounds filled the small room. They were musical, like birds singing, but with a rhythm that felt like speech. Amanda had studied hundreds of human languages, but this was completely different. Yet somehow she could feel meaning in the sounds. Whoever sent this message was trying to be friendly. Amanda worked for 6 hours straight, not stopping to eat or sleep. Slowly she began to understand small pieces of the message. The aliens called themselves the Kalari. They had been watching Earth for many years. They wanted to meet humans and welcome them to a group of peaceful worlds that worked together among the stars. The message was beautiful. It spoke of friendship, of sharing knowledge, of helping Earth solve its problems with clean energy and medicine. The Kalari wanted to meet at a place halfway between Earth and their home world. They would bring gifts and hope for a bright future, together. Amanda's hands shook as she finished translating the last part of the message. This was the most important moment in human history. First contact with aliens, and they were peaceful. They wanted to help. She had to tell Earth right away. But when Amanda tried to send a report directly to the United Nations, she found that all communications from the Newton were being watched by the military. Her message was automatically sent to the Pentagon's Alien Defense Initiative instead. Admiral Jack Morrison sat in his office deep underground in the Pentagon. He was a big man with gray hair and hard eyes. Morrison had spent 30 years in the military, fighting in wars around the world. He had learned that when someone you don't know contacts you, they usually want to hurt you. Morrison read Amanda's report 3 times. The scientist woman thought the aliens were peaceful. She thought they wanted to be friends. Morrison laughed, but it was not a happy sound. He had heard promises of peace before, right before the bombs started falling. They've been watching us for years, Morrison said to his assistant, Colonel Steve Roberts. That means they know our weapons, our defenses, everything. And now they want us to meet them in space, away from Earth's protection. It's the perfect trap. Colonel Roberts looked worried. Sir, what if the scientist is right? What if they really do want peace? Morrison slammed his hand on the desk. My brother thought the enemy wanted peace in Afghanistan. They sent him home in a box. These aliens might look different, but they're just another enemy trying to trick us. We won't fall for it. Within an hour, Morrison was in a meeting with President Helen Carter. The president was a smart woman, but she had only been in office for 8 months. When it came to military matters, she trusted Morrison's experience. Madam President, Morrison said, showing her Amanda's report on a large screen. We have a situation. Aliens have made contact and they're trying to lure us into a trap. President Carter read the translation carefully. This message sounds peaceful, Admiral. They're offering to help us. That's exactly what makes it dangerous, Morrison replied. Think about it. They claim they've been watching us for years. They know we just finished building our new space fleet. They know our weapons and our defenses. Now they want to meet us in open space, far from Earth. It's a classic military strategy. Get your enemy away from their stronghold before you attack. The president looked uncertain. But what if they really are peaceful? Morrison pulled up. Pictures on the screen showing Earth's new warships. The UES Endeavour, the UES Challenger, the UES Victory, and 12 other powerful ships. They had been built for exploring deep space, but they could be quickly armed with weapons. Ma'am, we spent $200 billion building these ships to protect humanity, Morrison said. If we're wrong about the aliens being peaceful and we send diplomats instead of soldiers, Earth could be destroyed. But if we're wrong about them being hostile, the worst that happens is we show them we're strong enough to defend ourselves. President Carter thought about this for a long time. Finally, she nodded. Do what you think is best, Admiral, but I want our people to try talking first before any shooting starts. Morrison smiled. Of course, Madam President. Captain Davis is our best officer. He'll handle this properly. But Morrison had no intention of talking first. Captain Ryan Davis stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, watching his crew prepare the ship for launch. Davis was 35 years old and had been in space for 10 years. He was a good captain, who cared about his crew, but he followed orders without question. Sir, said his communications officer, Lieutenant Kate Murphy, we're receiving another message from the aliens. Should I put it on the main screen? Do it, Davis said. The bridge filled with the same musical sounds Amanda had heard. But Davis had not read Amanda's full translation. Morrison had only given him a brief summary that made the aliens sound dangerous. Any idea what they're saying? Davis asked. Dr. Amanda Price stepped forward from the back of the bridge. Morrison had ordered her to come along, but only to help with translation if needed. Captain, they're saying they're happy we responded. They're asking when we'll arrive for the peace meeting. They're also saying they're bringing medicine that could cure cancer and technology that could clean our oceans. Davis looked confused. That doesn't sound like what Admiral Morrison told me. Amanda felt her heart racing. Captain, I've spent my whole career studying languages. These aliens are not hostile. They're trying to be our friends. Please, you have to believe me. But Davis had his orders. Morrison had warned him that the aliens might try to confuse them with lies about peace and friendship. The Admiral had said that scientists were too trusting, too eager to believe in good intentions. Dr. Price, Davis said firmly. Admiral, Morrison has studied military strategy his whole life. He knows how enemies think. We're going to that meeting, but we're going ready for war, not ready for peace. As the UES Endeavour and the rest of Earth's fleet launched toward the meeting point, Amanda sat alone in her small room on the ship. She tried one more time to contact Earth directly, to warn them that they were making a terrible mistake. But Morrison had blocked all her communications. Far away at the meeting point in space, Ambassador Zethkar of the Kalari Empire waited patiently in his small, beautiful ship. Around him, ships from a dozen different peaceful species had come to witness humanity's welcome into the galactic community. They had brought gifts of healing, technology, and friendship. None of them had any weapons. They had never needed weapons before. Zethkar looked at the stars and felt hope in his heart. Soon humanity would join them among the stars. Together, they would build a better future for all species. The ambassador did not know that Earth's ships were coming not with open hands, but with weapons ready to fire. The UES Endeavour dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the meeting zone. Captain Ryan Davis stood on his bridge, watching the main screen as strange shapes appeared in the darkness of space. His hands gripped the arms of his command chair tightly. How many ships are we looking at? Davis asked his sensor officer. Lieutenant Tom Wilson checked his instruments twice before answering. 37 vessels, sir. Different sizes and shapes. I've never seen designs like these before. Davis felt his heart beat faster. Admiral Morrison had been right. This was not a small diplomatic meeting. This looked like a fleet ready for battle. Are their weapons powered up? Sir, I'm not reading any weapon signatures at all, Wilson said, sounding confused. In fact, I'm not detecting any weapons on any of their ships. That's impossible, Davis said. They have to have weapons. Maybe they're just hiding them better than we can detect. Dr. Amanda Price moved closer to the captain's chair. She had been studying the alien signals for the past 3 days during their journey. Captain, they're broadcasting welcome messages in dozens of languages. They're trying to talk to us. Put it on speakers, Davis ordered. The bridge filled with sounds from the alien fleet. There were the musical tones of the Kalari, but also other voices speaking in what sounded like completely different languages. Some sounded like clicking insects, others like singing whales, and still others like wind blowing through trees. Amanda closed her eyes and listened carefully. Captain, I can understand some of this. They're greeting us. They're saying, "Welcome to the stars, and we bring gifts of friendship." There are representatives from many different species here. This is like a party, not a battle. Davis looked at his weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Hayes. She was a tough woman who had served in 3 different wars. Hayes, what do you think? Hayes studied the alien ships on her screen. Sir, it could be a trick. Multiple species working together means they have better communication and planning than we do. If they wanted to attack us, having this many different ship types would make it harder for us to figure out their tactics. But they have no weapons, Amanda said, her voice rising with worry. I've been listening to their messages. They're talking about sharing medicine and technology. They want to help us. Davis felt torn. Part of him wanted to believe Amanda, but Admiral Morrison's warnings echoed in his mind. The Admiral had said that aliens would try to trick them with false messages of peace. Morrison had 30 years of military experience. Amanda was just a scientist who had never been in a real battle. All ships, maintain defensive positions, Davis ordered into his communicator. Keep weapons ready, but do not target anything yet. On the main screen, one of the alien ships began to move slowly toward the human fleet. It was beautiful, with smooth curves and what looked like glowing crystals along its sides. The ship was about the same size as the Endeavour, but it moved, with an elegant grace that human ships could not match. Incoming message from that ship, Lieutenant Murphy announced. They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Put it through, Davis said. A new voice filled the bridge. It was the Kalari language, but this time it was slower and clearer. Amanda grabbed her translation device and began working frantically. Captain, she said after a few minutes, it's Ambassador Zethkar. He's asking permission to come closer so they can begin the ceremony. He says he has gifts for humanity and wants to perform some kind of greeting ritual. Davis watched the alien ship move closer. It was now only a few kilometers away. What kind of gifts? What kind of ceremony? Amanda listened to more of the message. Medical technology that can cure diseases we've never been able to cure. Energy systems that could power our cities without pollution. And the ceremony is just a formal greeting. It's like shaking hands but done between ships. Lieutenant Hayes suddenly spoke up. Sir, that ship is extending something toward us. It looks like some kind of tube or probe. Davis looked at the screen and saw a long, thin structure coming out of the alien ship. It was heading straight for the Endeavour. Is it a weapon? I don't know, sir, Hayes replied. I've never seen anything like it. Amanda studied the structure through her binoculars. Captain, I think it's ceremonial. Look at the way it moves. It's gentle, not aggressive. And there are lights on it that look decorative, not functional. But Davis was thinking about Morrison's warnings. The Admiral had said the aliens would try to get close to human ships and then attack. This extending tube could be some kind of boarding device or weapon that the sensors could not detect. All ships, prepare for possible attack, Davis ordered. Hayes, target that extending structure. If it gets any closer, you have permission to fire. Sir, please don't, Amanda begged. This is a mistake. They're trying to greet us according to their customs. If we shoot first, we'll be starting a war with peaceful beings. Davis looked at Amanda, then at his weapons officer. Hayes had her finger ready over the firing button. The alien tube was now only 50 meters from the Endeavour's hull. Sir, Hayes said, recommend we fire now before it makes contact. Davis thought about his crew, about Earth, about the responsibility on his shoulders. If he was wrong and these aliens were hostile, his hesitation could get everyone killed. If he was wrong and they were peaceful, his action could start a war. But Admiral Morrison had been clear. Better to be safe than sorry. Fire, Davis ordered. The Endeavour's main weapons lit up space with bright energy beams. The alien ship, completely unprotected, took the full force of the attack. Its beautiful hull cracked and split open. The extending tube, which had been reaching out in friendship, was destroyed instantly. The alien ship began to spin out of control, venting atmosphere and debris. On the bridge of the Endeavour, the crew watched in silence as the beautiful vessel slowly died. Oh God, Amanda whispered. What have we done? More messages began flooding in from the alien fleet. Amanda didn't need her translation device to understand the tone. The musical voices were now filled with shock, fear, and sadness. They're asking why we attacked, Amanda said. tears running down her face. "They're saying they don't understand. They came in peace." Davis felt sick to his stomach, but he forced himself to stay in command. "All ships, prepare for return fire. They'll attack us now." But the alien ships did not attack. Instead, they began to slowly move away from the human fleet. The damaged Kalari ship was gently pulled to safety by 2 other vessels. One last message came from Ambassador Zethkar's ship. Amanda listened to the weak, dying voice and translated with a broken heart. "He says he forgives us," she whispered. "He says he hopes someday we will understand that not everyone in the universe wants to hurt us. He's asking his people not to blame all humans for what happened here." The message ended with a long, sad, musical tone. Then the alien fleet vanished, leaving the human ships alone in the darkness of space. Captain Davis sat in his command chair, staring at the empty space where the alien ships had been. He had followed his orders and protected his fleet. But deep, in his heart, he was beginning to understand that he had just made the biggest mistake in human history. Back on Earth, Admiral Morrison received the report of the successful defense against alien attack. He smiled with satisfaction. He had been right to trust his military instincts over the naive hopes of scientists. But Morrison did not know that the aliens had recorded everything, and he did not know that the Kalari had friends across the galaxy who would not be so quick to forgive. 6 months after the shooting, Earth had become a very different place. Dr. Amanda Price sat in her small apartment in Washington, D.C., watching the news on her old television. The reporter was talking about the food riots in California and the water wars starting in Africa. Everything was getting worse, and Amanda knew why. The president announced today that Earth's space fleet will launch 3 more probe missions to test the alien blockade, the reporter said. Admiral Morrison says these missions are necessary to gather intelligence about our enemies. Amanda turned off the television and put her head in her hands. The aliens were not enemies. They had never been enemies. But no one in power wanted to listen to her anymore. After the incident in space, Amanda had been quietly moved from her job on the research ship to a small office in the basement of a government building. Her official title was Cultural Analysis Specialist, but everyone knew she had been buried. Her reports about the peaceful nature of the aliens were classified and ignored. The alien response to the attack had surprised everyone except Amanda. There was no invasion, no bombing of Earth cities, no declaration of war. Instead, something much worse happened. Earth was cut off from the rest of the universe. The blockade was invisible but complete. No human ship could leave the solar system. Every probe, every spacecraft, every attempt to reach the stars was gently but firmly stopped. The alien ships would appear, disable the human vessel without harming anyone inside, and then tow it back to Earth. No matter what weapons the humans used, no matter how they tried to fight, the aliens never hurt anyone. They just sent them home. But being sent home was punishment enough. Amanda walked to her computer and opened her secret files. For months, she had been working with a small group of people who knew the truth about First Contact. The group included Commander Ben Parker, a former student of Admiral Morrison who had started asking difficult questions after reviewing the classified footage from the space battle. Commander Parker was different from his former teacher. He was young, only 32 years old, and he still believed that problems could be solved by thinking instead of shooting. Parker had contacted Amanda 3 months ago after he saw the real recordings of the First Contact incident. "I watched the video 10 times, Parker had told her during their first secret meeting. "Those aliens were trying to shake hands with us. We shot them for saying hello." Now Parker was part of a growing underground movement of military officers, scientists, and government workers who wanted to fix the mistake. They called themselves the Truth Group, and they met in secret to try to find a way to communicate with the aliens. Amanda heard a knock on her door. She looked through the peephole and saw Parker standing in the hallway looking nervous. She let him in quickly. "We have a problem," Parker said, as soon as the door was closed. "Morrison is planning something big. He's convinced the president that the aliens are preparing for invasion." Amanda felt cold fear in her stomach. "What kind of something big?" Parker pulled out a tablet and showed her classified documents. He wants to launch a full military assault on the alien blockade ships, 50 warships armed with nuclear weapons. He thinks if we hit them hard enough, we can break through the blockade and force them to fight us properly. That's insane, Amanda said. They could destroy our entire fleet in minutes if they wanted to. The only reason they haven't hurt anyone is because they're trying to be merciful. I know that and you know that, but Morrison doesn't care, Parker replied. He's been telling everyone that the blockade is proof the aliens are planning something terrible. He says they're just waiting for us to become weak before they attack. Amanda looked at the documents on the tablet. The attack was planned for next week. Once Morrison launched his assault, there would be no going back. The aliens would be forced to defend themselves, and Earth would face the consequences of starting a real war with a civilization far more advanced than humanity. We have to stop him, Amanda said. How? Parker asked. Morrison has convinced everyone that he's protecting Earth. Anyone who speaks against him is labeled a traitor. Amanda walked to her window and looked out at the city. The streets were full of protesters demanding action against the aliens. The economy was falling apart because Earth could no longer trade with anyone beyond their solar system. People were angry and scared, and Morrison was giving them someone to blame. But Amanda had been working on something that might change everything. For months, she had been trying to decode the messages that the aliens sent to Earth every day. Morrison's people intercepted these messages and kept them secret. But Amanda had found a way to listen in. I need to show you something, Amanda said. She turned on her computer and opened a file full of alien language. Every day, the aliens send us messages. Morrison claims they're threats or demands for surrender, but I've been translating them. She played a recording of the musical Kalari language and then showed Parker her translation on the screen. They're not threats, Amanda said quietly. They're apologies. Every single day they apologize for frightening us. They say they understand, that we're scared, and that we acted out of fear. They keep asking if we're ready to try again to start over with a peaceful meeting. Parker stared at the translation. Morrison knows about these messages? He has to know. His department intercepts everything, but he's been telling everyone that the aliens are threatening us. Amanda switched to another file. Look at this one from yesterday. The message was longer than usual. Amanda had spent hours translating it perfectly. The aliens were giving Earth one final chance. They said they understood that humans were young and afraid, and that many species made mistakes during first contact. But their patience was not unlimited. If Earth could not show that it truly wanted peace, the blockade would become permanent. They're not trying to conquer us, Amanda said. They're trying to save us from ourselves, but if we attack them again, they'll have no choice but to treat us as a dangerous species that needs to be contained forever. Parker was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. What do we do? Amanda had been thinking about this for weeks. We have to get a message to them directly. We have to bypass Morrison's communication blocks and tell them that not all humans want war. That's impossible. Morrison controls all communication satellites and military frequencies. Amanda smiled for the first time in months. Not all of them. I've been studying the aliens' technology from the recordings of first contact. I think I can build a transmitter that works on their frequencies, but I'll need help. Over the next 3 days, Amanda and Parker worked in secret to build the communication device. They used parts stolen from military labs and help from 2 other members of the Truth Group. The work was dangerous. If Morrison caught them, they would be arrested for treason. Meanwhile, Captain Davis had been drinking himself to sleep every night since the incident. The man who had ordered the first shots against the aliens could barely look at himself in the mirror. He had requested a transfer to a ground position, claiming he needed a break from space duty, but everyone knew the real reason. Davis had started attending Truth Group meetings a month ago. He never said much, but Amanda could see the pain in his eyes. The weight of starting humanity's first interstellar war was crushing him. On the night before Morrison's planned attack, Amanda and Parker finished their transmitter. They climbed onto the roof of Amanda's apartment building and pointed their device toward the stars. Are you sure this will work? Parker asked. No, Amanda admitted. But we have to try. She activated the device and began broadcasting humanity's first real message of peace to the aliens. She spoke slowly and clearly, using the Kalari language she had spent months learning. "This is Dr. Amanda Price of Earth," she said into the transmitter. "We are sorry. We made a terrible mistake. Not all humans wanted to hurt you. Please give us another chance to show you who we really are." Far above Earth, the alien ships received the message. For the first time in 6 months, they had heard a human voice speaking words of genuine peace and regret. The response came 12 hours later, just as Morrison's fleet was preparing to launch their attack. The message was simple, broadcast on every radio and television frequency on Earth so that everyone could hear it. "We have been waiting for this message," the alien voice said in perfect English. "We will give humanity one final test. We are sending one ship carrying one diplomat unarmed and unprotected. If your people can receive our envoy in peace, we will know that humans are ready to join the community of worlds. If you attack again, Earth will remain isolated until your species learns wisdom." Admiral Morrison heard the broadcast and immediately ordered his attack fleet to prepare for launch. He would shoot down the alien diplomat and end this threat once and for all. But this time, Morrison would find that many of his own officers had other plans. 2 years had passed since the disastrous first contact, and Earth was dying. Dr. Amanda Price stood in the White House briefing room, watching President Kevin Walsh read her report. The new president had won the election by promising to fix the alien situation, but now he was learning just how bad things had become. "The oceans are rising faster than ever," Amanda explained. "We're running out of clean water in 12 major cities. The food shortages are getting worse every month, and we're fighting 3 different wars over the few resources we have left." President Walsh looked tired. He had been in office for only 2 months, but he already looked older than when he started. "Dr. Price, what would have happened if we had accepted the aliens' original offer?" Amanda pulled up a holographic display showing the technology the Kalari had wanted to share. "They offered us clean energy that would have stopped climate change, medical technology that could cure cancer, heart disease, and aging, farming methods that could feed everyone on Earth, all of it for free just for joining their peaceful alliance. And instead, we shot them," Walsh said quietly. "Yes, sir. We shot them." The president turned to Commander Ben Parker, who had been promoted after the Truth Group's success in contacting the aliens. "Commander, what's the latest on Admiral Morrison?" Parker straightened up. "Sir, Admiral Morrison is under arrest for treason. When we tried to stop his attack on the alien diplomat, he attempted to launch nuclear weapons without presidential authorization. His own officers had to restrain him." President Walsh nodded. Morrison's arrest had been the turning point. When the Admiral's own people turned against him, it became clear that the military was ready for a new approach. "The alien ship arrives in 6 hours," Walsh said. "Are we ready?" Amanda felt nervous butterflies in her stomach. After months of careful planning, Earth was finally going to try peaceful first contact. But there was still so much that could go wrong. "All military ships have been ordered to stay away from the landing site," Parker reported. "We have only diplomatic security, all of them unarmed. The media is set up to broadcast the meeting live to the entire world." The landing site was a field outside Washington, D.C. It had been chosen because it was far from any military bases, but close enough to the capital for the president to attend personally. For the first time in human history, Earth's leader would personally greet an alien visitor. Captain Ryan Davis entered the briefing room looking much healthier than he had in months. After Morrison's arrest, Davis had stopped drinking and started working with the Truth Group to prepare for this moment. "Sir," Davis said to the president, "I want to volunteer for the security detail. I know I don't deserve to be there after what I did, but I want to help make this right." President Walsh studied Davis carefully. The man who had fired the first shot against the aliens was now one of the strongest supporters of peace. "Captain, are you sure you can handle seeing them again?" Davis nodded firmly. "Sir, I've had 2 years to think about what I did. I destroyed the most important moment in human history because I was afraid. I won't make that mistake again." 3 hours later, Amanda stood in the field with President Walsh, Captain Davis, and a small group of diplomats. The world was watching through television and internet broadcasts. Every human on Earth knew that the next few hours would determine their future. The alien ship appeared in the sky without warning. It was smaller than the diplomatic vessel that had been destroyed 2 years ago, but it was even more beautiful. The ship was made of what looked like living crystal, glowing with soft blue light. It moved through the air without any sound, like a leaf floating on water. "It's gorgeous," President Walsh whispered. The ship landed gently in the middle of the field. A door opened in its side and a figure stepped out. The alien was tall and graceful with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. It wore simple white robes that seemed to glow with their own light. Amanda felt tears on her face. After everything that had happened, after all the mistakes and fear and violence, here was a peaceful alien visitor standing on Earth. The alien walked slowly toward the human group. When it was 10 feet away, it stopped and spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Yethlan of the Kalari Empire. I come in peace, carrying the hopes of many worlds for friendship with humanity." President Walsh stepped forward. "Ambassador Yethlan, I am Kevin Walsh, President of Earth. On behalf of all humanity, I apologize for what happened 2 years ago. We were afraid, and we made a terrible mistake." The alien's large eyes seemed to look right into Walsh's soul. "Fear is natural for young species. What matters is what you do after the fear passes. You have shown courage by asking for this second chance." Amanda moved closer to the alien. "Ambassador, I'm Dr. Amanda Price. I was the one who translated your first message. I tried to stop the attack, but I failed." Yethlan turned to Amanda with what might have been a smile. "Dr. Price, we know of your work. You have spent 2 years learning our language and teaching others about our peaceful intentions. You did not fail. You planted seeds that grew into this moment." Captain Davis stepped forward, his hands shaking slightly. "Ambassador, I am Captain Ryan Davis. I was the one who gave the order to fire on your ship. I killed Ambassador Zethkar. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that I will spend the rest of my life trying to make up for what I did." Alien studied Davis for a long moment. Then it reached into its robes and pulled out a small crystal device. "Captain Davis, before Ambassador Zethkar died, he made a recording. He asked me to share it with the human who fired the shot if we ever met again." Davis looked terrified, but he nodded. "I'm ready to hear it." Yethlan activated the device, and the musical voice of the dying Kalari ambassador filled the air. Amanda translated quietly as the message played. "Zethkar says he forgives you," Amanda whispered. "He says he can see in your eyes that you are a good person who was given bad information. He says every species makes mistakes when they are young. He asks you not to blame yourself, but to help your people learn from this mistake." Davis fell to his knees crying. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Ambassador Yethlan knelt beside him and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Captain, Zethkar's death was not in vain if it helps humanity choose peace over fear. Will you help us build a better future?" Davis looked up at the alien with tears on his face. "Yes, I swear it. Whatever it takes." President Walsh stepped forward again. "Ambassador, what happens now? Can you forgive us enough to give us another chance?" Yethlan stood up and gestured to the ship. "I have brought gifts, as Zethkar tried to do 2 years ago. Medical technology that will cure your diseases, energy systems that will heal your planet, agricultural knowledge that will feed your people. But more than that, I bring an invitation to join the Galactic Council of Peaceful Worlds." "What do we need to do to earn that invitation?" Walsh asked. "You have already done it," Yethlan replied. "You have shown that humans can learn from their mistakes. You have shown that your species can choose peace over fear. You have shown that you are ready to grow beyond your violent past." Over the next hour, Ambassador Yethlan presented the gifts to humanity. The medical technology was demonstrated on volunteers, curing diseases that had been thought incurable. The energy systems were small, but powerful enough to provide clean electricity for entire cities. The agricultural knowledge included seeds that could grow in any soil and produce food rich in all the nutrients humans needed. This is just the beginning, Yethlon explained. When you are ready, we will teach you how to travel to other worlds. You will meet the hundreds of species that make up our alliance. You will help us explore new worlds and make contact with other young species. Amanda felt a joy she had never experienced before. Ambassador, how long before we can travel to the stars? That depends on how quickly you can heal the damage to your world, Yethlon replied. We will help you fix your climate, feed your people, and cure your diseases. But you must also heal the damage to your hearts. You must learn to work together as one species instead of fighting each other. President Walsh shook hands with the alien ambassador as cameras recorded the historic moment. Ambassador Yethlon, I promise you that humanity will prove worthy of this second chance. As the sun set over the field, Amanda watched the alien ship prepare to leave. But this time, it was not leaving in sorrow or fear. It was leaving with hope. When will we see you again? Amanda asked. Soon, Yethlon replied. Very soon. And next time I will not come alone. I will bring friends who are eager to meet the brave humans who chose peace over fear. The ship rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars. But for the first time in 2 years, those stars did not seem cold and distant. They seemed like destinations, like places where humanity could go and meet new friends. Amanda looked at Captain Davis, who was still crying, but now with joy instead of grief. She looked at Commander Parker, who was already planning humanity's first peaceful space mission. She looked at President Walsh, who was smiling as he watched the alien ship disappear. Humanity had made terrible mistakes, but they had learned from them. They had chosen peace over fear, hope over despair, and growth over stagnation. The stars were waiting for them, and this time they would reach them with open hands instead of weapons.